Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Partnership for Profit. I'm the host, Peter Conrad, and I'm here today with Ashley Johnson, an attorney in North Carolina and the founder of Dogwood Law. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, it's great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too. So thanks for coming on. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're working on.
Yep. So I am a patent and trademark attorney. I've been doing this for 20 some years now, which is hard to believe. I graduated from law school in 2003, so it's been a while. Bounced around a little bit in my career. I've worked for law firms. I worked for an in-house corporation for a while, and kind of started my own practice about 6 years ago, and that's what I've been doing since then, and really have found my area. I wish I had gone out on my own and done that a little bit sooner, but it's worked out the best for me.
Great. What area of law do you specialize in?
Yep. So I handle intellectual property. So I do patents, trademarks, copyrights. I handle agreements related to protecting your intellectual property. So if you need a license for something that you've invented, you want, someone to be able to use it, you get royalties, I can handle that type of thing as well.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So especially with intellectual property, that sort of more obscure area of the law doesn't make a lot of the TV shows.
I think that's fair. That's fair.
How does communication with your clients, established clients, prospective clients, how does establishing that communication help you navigate the process of setting expectations, explaining outcomes to clients, and just making sure that everybody's comfortable with your relationship and how things are going?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of two major areas that I deal with that. So, in the patent process, that really involves me writing a patent application with the client. And so I'm describing their invention. I'm writing a 20 to 30 page document. So there's a lot of back and forth between the client and me during that initial process. So I always like to meet face to face, but sometimes I've got clients across the country, so we do Zoom meetings, things like that. But it's really important during that drafting process for me to understand what the invention is, why it's new, why it's wonderful, all of that. So it definitely requires a lot of good communication between the two of us. So, typically I'll make sure I understand the invention. I draft it on my end. I send it to the client for their review. They typically have questions, comments, changes. It's a kind of a working process where we get the application exactly how they want it, where they're satisfied, and I'm also satisfied it meets all the legal requirements. And then we file it. So for trademarks, it's a little bit less, less of a process. For trademarks, protect brands. So if you're starting a new business and you want to protect your name, that's when I would come in and help you. And really that process is I run a search to make sure the name is actually available. If not, we have a conversation about let's maybe pivot, or do you want to roll the dice and still try and get this
and see if it'll get approved? Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
The difference between that clarity and exclusivity and all that other
stuff. Yes. I mean, sometimes people just love their name. They dig in their heels and say, "Nope,
I need it. I want it."
Yep. Let's roll the dice and let's try and file on it.
Yeah.
So and I, it's ultimately their decision. So
exactly.
Yep.
It's that area. I mean, they're the subject matter expert in their business, but you're the subject matter expert in the law, and you've got to create that overlapping circle to find the way through a process.
Exactly.
And that can be a real challenge.
It can be. It can be.
How do you proactively strategize for those scenarios where you don't know for sure what you're walking into, because every case is a little bit different? That's the whole point of invention, is you're coming up with something novel and new
That's right.
to meet a need and to provide a service or product. How do you strategize for those scenarios to be ready, and your team to be ready for what they're going to run into in those interviews and in those planning meetings in execution?
So what the patent office does, once we submit a patent application, once it finally gets to the examiner is going to run a search, and they're going to make sure that this invention is new and that it should be, approved for a patent. So what we really like to do is kind of hedge our bets. And before we file your patent application, we want to do our own search. And so that really kind of does the same thing that the examiner is going to do. And so we run a formal search, and we typically use an outside search company for that, because they're the experts at finding, anything related to your invention. And so that's my best way to really hedge off and say, okay, plan for any problems. So we're doing the same thing the examiner is going to do, and this is what the search company found. So maybe everything looks great. We didn't find anything that teaches this specific characteristic of your invention. So I think we're going to be great. But in the times, which often happens, okay, we found this one reference or maybe two references. What can we do differently or better can kind of change your invention to maybe improve it, a new twist, something, so we can really hedge our bets and make sure that your invention goes through. So with patents, we do that formal search, and that it's never 100%, nothing's 100%, but that gives us a really good idea of what's out there and whether you're going to be successful. With trademarks, the first thing I do is I'll run a search, and let's make sure no one else has filed a trademark that's too close to yours that we think is going to be problematic. So we do both of those things, kind of do our homework as a first step, and then if everything looks good and we're on the same page, move forward. And still sometimes we have people, even when I guide them like we just spoke about, and I say, nope, I really think it's going to be tough. Maybe you go back and they kind of say, nope, let's just do it. And sometimes it works out.
Right. Roll the dice. You do the due diligence and make sure that you're ready. But it's ultimately that's the service motto. The customer gets to make the final decision. It's not up to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm certainly on the more cautious side, just personally, and just I think as an attorney, if there's anything that comes up, I want to make sure they know about it, they're aware of it, they're comfortable taking a risk. So make sure I've done my job.
Yeah, and that's part of being the subject matter expert in the law. Is it's a complex body of work and documents and a history and everything else, and you're balancing all of that and trying to translate it to a technical subject matter expert in a business or service that they're providing and offering. But it's tricky, you're dealing, and then you add the layer of personalities to it and everything else. And you're part-time therapist and part-time technical support and everything else too. How big's your team? Who do you have supporting you in this?
Yep. So it's small, and I keep my overhead really low, which is the way that I like it. I've worked for larger law firms, and the way that those always work never really sat well with me. It's the managing partner meets with the clients, and then they give all the work to the associates. And so I really like being a solo practitioner, because I get to work one-on-one with clients. They know I'm doing the work. They know if they've got a question, they could call me at any time or shoot me an email, and they're getting me. They're not getting somebody else. I also have an office manager, and he handles all of those kind of day-to-day things. He answers the phones, he schedules my meetings, he does invoicing, he reports things. So he takes off, a lot of those admin things so that I can do what I do. I can practice law during the day and get my work done.
Great. Yeah. Training, both continuous education for yourself and keeping your team caught up on everything that they need to expect. How do you make time for your own development and education?
Yeah, I think it's just something you have to kind of carve out. The North Carolina State Bar, they're really good. We have a really good, I'm in Wake County, North Carolina. We have a really good bar program here where if you join the bar, you get lots of free CLE time. So I do most of it Zoom calls or Zooms,
Sure.
just to save me time
Convenience.
driving
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. But I think if I plan far enough out, I can schedule them. I schedule mine mostly about a month out, so I can really carve out that time on my calendar and nothing else can interfere, because it's important. You really have to stay on top of things because things are always changing. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to set those personal values for yourself and
yeah,
stick to it and stay motivated to,
absolutely.
even there's a return on investment on it, even if it costs you time and you need to be doing something else at the same time, but you just budget it and manage it and force yourself
Right.
to get value out of it, because it is valuable. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about attorney-client relationships. Obviously, nothing specific, but
Mhm.
how do you keep that customer-client satisfaction high, even when you're delivering a difficult message?
Yeah. So I think that's tricky. Like you said, there's a lot of different personality types. So, and we can't always give people good news. We just can't. So, when I am giving bad news, if someone, we get a refusal on a trademark, for example, I will explain it typically in an email, what's going on. And I always give your options. Option one is we can appeal this refusal. This is what that process entails. This is how much the fees would be. Option two is we can abandon your trademark and you don't have to pay any more money. So I kind of lay it all out in the email, and then I say, let's schedule a call and talk this through, because I don't ever want to give people bad news and just leave it at that. So I think it's, and that always gives them time also to look at everything, digest it, and say, that's disappointing. And there's a little bit of a gap. They can take it in, understand it. And then when we talk about it, it's typically less heated, as if I just called them and spring it on them.
Yeah.
So that works for me. May not work for everyone, but that works really well for me.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're in a field you're passionate about, it can be the stages of grief. You're losing something and you're going through the process.
It can.
Yeah.
And I always tell people too, even with if a patent gets refused or a trademark, I always say you can still use your trademark. You're just not going to have all the rights that maybe you would as if they went through. Same thing with an invention. You can still sell this product. It's just not you're not going to have those patent rights, but there's a lot of value being first to market with something. So that's kind of, I give them bad news, but I also kind of give them a silver lining, or, something positive that came out of this.
Sure. So you're working in North Carolina. North Carolina's become such a big technology and pharmaceutical center.
Yeah.
Did you see that as the path forward for yourself at the very beginning, or have you tried different areas of the law and then found this as the way that you wanted to focus?
No. So when I started off, when I was in law school, to be a patent attorney, you have to have some sort of technical degree. So you have to have either a science background or an engineering degree. So if you are, an English major, you wouldn't be able to be a patent attorney. So everyone was telling me, because I have a chemistry and biochemistry degrees, they were saying, you really should look into patent law. You should look into patent law. So I did an internship at a patent law firm in Durham, North Carolina, and I really enjoyed it. And a great group of people. I ended up working there after I graduated. So it worked out really well. I enjoyed it and just kind of went from there. So I think you're right. I think this is a great area for new businesses, tech companies. We really have a lot of that in North Carolina. And patent and trademark law, that's federal law. So, I'm not just, unlimited to North Carolina. So I've got especially trademark clients all over the country. So it's kind of great to have that and get to talk to people, not just, locally, but all over.
Yeah, that interstate commerce protects us all from being stolen from one side or the other. Yeah, you're right.
That's right.
That's great. Who are you looking for right now as a referral partner, a
Mhm.
client? Who who gets you excited about new opportunities?
Yeah. So right now, when I think of referral partners, I have a lot of business attorneys. So business attorneys and I have a really good working relationship. I found that out pretty early when I started this firm. So, a business attorney, they help people start new businesses, and kind of hand in hand with that is trademarks, or if you've got a product you're selling, protecting that product through a patent application. So I have a lot of business attorneys, and I make an effort to meet them pretty often for coffee, just catch up, let's meet for lunch. And when it's kind of it goes both ways. So when I have if someone reaches out to me, I say, well, you need an LLC or you need
Make
to
a business. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then I've got the business attorney for you. So it kind of goes both ways. So I really enjoy business attorneys, and I do keep up also with a lot of patent attorneys, because we all have conflicts from time to time.
Right.
And it's helpful if I can't take someone to know that they're in good hands. And same thing, if someone else has a conflict, they're free to send that to me, and I can take
Spread
care of
out that duplication and competition.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't want to have a
Exactly.
conflict of interest. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of your biggest challenges in being an independent
Yeah.
operation and regulatory environments and growth and everything else? What are some of the things that really put the biggest roadblocks in front of you?
Yeah. So I think, coming from bigger environments, working for a large corporation, working for a larger law firm, one thing that I do miss and I do kind of struggle with is if you've got a tough issue, just kind of going down the hall and sitting down and saying, can I talk this over with you? This is what's come up. What do you think about this? And this is what my strategy is. So it's certainly more independent, where maybe I've got to do some research on my end, okay, or take some more time to think it through independently versus let's sit down and talk this over. I do have resources, my old law firm and a couple of people I've kept in contact with, I can always, if there is a really big something and I just really feel like I need to talk it over, I do have those resources. So, so I'd say that's something that I just kind of have learned to deal with a little bit more independently, being on my own, not having that. Another thing, being on my own is I typically do I kind of do a lot of more research. So if something comes in and I don't know a whole lot about it, I'll have to take several hours to get on board with this type of technology. So if someone has, robotic something or other, then I've got to take some time. The inventors are typically great about teaching. So if I say, teach me about this and help me understand it. But even given that, a lot of times I'll have to get kind of the basics down first before I'm ready for that high level.
Even understand what you're being told. Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think my field does require some initial learning on my part, which it's interesting. It really is. You learn a lot about a whole lot of different things, which is great.
Yeah, and that sort of complex synthesis of ideas. How does this relate to something I already know and everything else? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And you're right. I think we all lost a little bit of that sort of water cooler collaboration over the last 5 or 6 years. That was very normal 10 years ago, and of course has been the small independent proprietors thing for a long time. But you're right. You got to use your peers and your formal and informal mentors the best you can when you need to bounce an idea off of somebody.
Yeah.
That's totally true. Absolutely. What about how you think about the future of your business? Are you looking to grow? Are you happy right where you are? Do you consider yourself open to new partnerships and everything else? What's your plan?
So I think that's a tough question. I am really happy right now. I do, and I think part of it is if something comes in that's not a good fit for me, maybe it's personality, I just think it's not a great fit for me, or maybe it's a technology area that's just not a great fit. I feel comfortable in that, my practice as it is now, I can just kind of refer that out. Every now and then I think it might be great to have, take an associate on or to get a partner. But I think when you do that, that also invites a lot of issues that maybe, I don't really have right now.
Right.
I think there's a lot
of control and everything.
That's right.
else.
That's right. There's, and you never know what can happen. I think when you take on a partner, it's very much like a marriage.
Yeah.
It is. And if you're taking on an associate, that's a lot of my time.
Responsibility.
It is. It training them, getting them up to speed. I do think about retiring in the next 10 years. So it would be great to have a partner that can just kind of step in and take over everything. So it is on my radar, maybe not right now, but within the next couple years, be great to have a partner, someone to kind of take this firm and
plan that legacy. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Grow it if they want to, or just do what they like.
And business transition, that whole, which is I'm sure your business attorneys can tell you horror stories and success stories about all of that kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, would you like to tell us about anything that you're working on, or special projects, or even non-business related stuff? What are your passion areas outside of the business?
Yeah. So, I think most of what I do is proprietary, so I can't go too much into what I work on. I will say I work with a lot of great people, a lot of very inventive people, very smart people who are passionate about what they do. So I really enjoy my job. I enjoy working with people. I think I'm in a great area of law. Most of the time, divorce attorneys, criminal law attorneys, they're dealing with people who are not happy. Right. Everyone that I deal with generally is very excited about something.
Right.
They're excited because they've invented something and they are convinced it's going to be the next,
save the world. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Or they're starting a new company and they're so excited to protect what they're doing, protect their brand, build their brand, and they're just putting their heart and soul into it. So I deal with great people who are very excited and passionate about what they do. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think I'm in a great area of law for that. And I think it suits my personality. I don't like when people argue. I don't like getting involved in that. I do not like conflict if I can avoid it, which we have to deal with some of that, but it's helpful for me to deal with people that are excited, and I enjoy helping people like that. But as far as my practice, I really just hope it continues. I hope people, continue referring me. I think that's the greatest compliment I can get is
Absolutely.
When clients refer me to their friends and family and business associates. And I get so much of that, and it makes me so happy every time I get something like that.
Great, Ashley. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah. So you can find me if you search my law firm, we are Dogwood Patent and Trademark Law. We've got an office in Raleigh, North Carolina, Wilmington. But again, we're federal law, so we have clients all over the country. You can reach out on the website and schedule a free consultation. That's typically the best way.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I think we're good. All good.
right.
But if anybody has any questions related to patent or trademark law, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, okay. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us on Partnership for Profit. I'm the host, Peter Conrad. We've been talking today with Ashley Johnson with Dogwood Law in North Carolina, patent and trademark attorney. This has been a production of LeDuc Entertainment. If you have any needs for podcasting, marketing support, or any other production support, you can contact LeDuc Entertainment, and we'd be happy to work with you. Thank you so much for coming out, Ashley. I really appreciate this conversation. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.